everybody. Welcome back to For the Love of Dance. I'm here with Bobby. How would you describe your dance style?
My dance style. Ooh, okay, so I fell in love with tap first. That's my first love,
Wow,
tap
I did
dancing.
not know that.
And I got into all these dance styles, jazz, lyrical, uh contemporary wasn't really around at the time as much, hip hop, modern dancing, and then ballet was actually the last thing I started. Because I was that boy that was like, ballet? I don't want to do ballet. It's classical music. And then I fell in love with it. And so, you know, all styles. I guess I love all styles of dance.
Well, that's great because I mean, being diverse is really helpful in this industry. But I would have never in a million years guessed that ballet is the last thing you did because you teach ballet at the
I
Edge, which is
know.
like a place where people go for technical training. So when did you start ballet?
Not that old. I started dancing when I was 5. So I
Oh,
was a early starter. And I think I started ballet around, I may be a little bit wrong, around like 9 or 10.
okay. But that's still good for like people who are listening to know if you didn't start your child at 5, they can still become a successful dancer. Um,
Absolutely.
so you did you ask to go to dance or were your parents like, he's 5, let's do it?
No, so I was always like an active kid. Like I loved moving my body.
Mm.
When like an ice cream truck would drive by, I would just like bop to that music. Um, I was that weird kid that
You
just kept
weren't like
moving.
going for the ice cream at all. You're like, no, 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 these are my jams.
No, 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 it's my jam. The like those clown music kind of things.
I love
I
that.
would just be a bouncing everywhere. So they put me in those like playhouse like gymnastic thing when
Mm.
you're a kid, and I loved it. But then one day I was like, "Mom, I just want to dance." I said it. I don't know what made me say it, but I was like, "I want to dance." And so one of my mom's friend found a dance studio that's local. And so we stopped by, and then, the owner was like, "Oh, he's a boy. You're allowed to take tap when you're 5 years old. Why don't you try tap?" So I think she introduced me like into like more masculine style, I guess, what people would think as. And I fell in love with it since like first class. I was like, this is what I'm doing.
I love that. Oh, I love it. You're
Yeah.
from California, like born and raised in California, right? I started
Orange County.
love it. Oh, that's awesome. I started tap dancing too at 2. Uh
Okay.
because I was just always my sister was big into dance and she's 6 years older, so I was just there. And so my mom was like, "Can she join this like" it was the 3 and up class and they were like, "She has to be 2.5 or something." And they didn't even have tap shoes for me yet. Like they didn't exist. So my mom took my red church shoes and glued taps to them. And then I
Oh,
took
I love
this tap
that.
class.
That's
And
awesome.
it was just I just remember recital that year because it was a regular studio that had dance recital, and I was devastated that I had to get black shoes for dance because I
Uh-huh.
was like, "But I had these fabulous red shoes this whole time, and now you want me to just be like everybody else? Ugh, gross." Yeah.
And it's those ugly plastic looking tap shoes, when you first start.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's so fun. Okay, so then you got into ballet later on in life. When did you know that you wanted to be a dancer for a living?
So funny story. My parents were so excited because I wanted to be a doctor growing up.
Love it.
And they were like, we don't even have to talk him into being a doctor or like, that kind of thing. So I was like 5 years old, I was like, I'll be a doctor. And then around 6 or 7, I was like, I'll be a dancing doctor. I started the word doctor in there, but I was like slowly creeping up to dancing. And by the time I was like 9, I was like, Mom, I want to be a dancer.
That's
So I
young.
kind of knew quick. Yeah. And at the time, that's, what that is 22 years ago. I'm 31 now.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of rare. Like at that age, at that time, so young, knowing that you want to be a dancer,
Hey,
especially
do you
being a
think
like a
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, the Zoom thing gets
Especially being a like especially being like a guy, and I was the only guy at the studio at the time. So it's not like I had a whole bunch of guys to look up to or like dance with. I just was like, "Yep, I'm doing this."
This is a great topic.
Yeah.
Okay, because there are studios out there that only have one male dancer, and I have seen you dance many times. You are a very masculine dancer. You don't there, and not that there's anything wrong with if a boy wants to dance feminine. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
For guys who
Absolutely.
want to become dancers, I think you have to be able to do both in order to book jobs, right? And so, how
Absolutely.
did your studio, or how did you learn how to dance masculine if there was no other male figures to look up to see what the line difference is from a girl line
Yeah.
to a boy's line? By
So
the way.
I think my teachers were very good in sense of they were right off the bat had options. Like, girls, hands on the hips like this, and guy, like, you're just put your hands down. So they were like really right from the get-go, like really smart with that, giving me the male option of that move, where I think a lot of teachers don't do, especially because it's such a um, more feminine dominant. I'm gonna say sport because dance is a sport.
Mhm.
It's more that than male dominant. So like a lot of teachers forget when they're young. I think they just kind of just give the same choreography, and you just kind of have to figure it out on their own.
And
But
it's
all
more
my
work
teachers
to
were
do
like,
teacher. It's 2 things.
absolutely, it is.
It's
That's
the
two
one.
things,
2 things.
and for one kid. So, but my teachers were really awesome in that sense that they always had me in mind.
What studio did
Um,
you grow up with, if you don't mind?
so it's called Irvine Dance Academy.
Mhm.
It's gone now. It was in Irvine, of course, called
Right.
Irvine Dance
It'd be
Academy,
weird if it
Irvine,
wasn't. Yeah,
California.
yeah, yeah. It was in Fresno.
Yeah, it was San Francisco, right. But it was there, and then I studied there from when I was like 5 to 13, and then my mentor, still my mentor, her name is Moni Adamson, who taught me tap. That's who I like really like fell in love with. She opened up her another studio called Focus Dance Center, which is in Irvine as well. And I transferred over to her with her
Mhm.
during that time, but that's where I studied mostly. But I also went to arts junior high and high school called OSHA. I don't know if you heard of OSHA.
And did you have dance, like, you were dancing there? See, because I
Hmm.
went to a performing arts high school in Canada, but I was like, "I'm not gonna take dance." I took drama because I was already dancing
Oh, that's
professionally at the
great.
time. So for me, it was like I was dancing before I got to school, after I got to school. So while I was at school, I was like, not happening." Uh,
I think that's smart though, because I mean, as I got older, I realized dancers have to know how to act. I
mhm.
mean, we do. And so, I mean, there's so many things that blends, like if you can sing, great. If you can act, great. If you can dance, great. But what I've realized more now is you'll get more like hireable if you're a mover. I mean, if you're an actor that can move rather
Mhm.
than a dancer that can't act,
That's
you
fair, very
know?
fair. Unless you can have that one trick that they just need for but almost
True.
every kid now has that one trick.
That
You're
one trick.
you're making me think of all of those TikTok dance moves where the kids always roll their eyes and lick the side of their face. I'm 38, so I'm like, what is this? But I see a lot of kids emulating that look, and I do agree. Like, oh, the look is cute, but does it match the song in which you're dancing to? You know what I mean? But I do think like I have seen it in kids across America who are doing it in like contemporary dances, and I'm like, I don't think you
Right.
should lick your face during that one. Like, it's different. Uh, but it's because they see it on TikTok. So maybe if you're on TikTok and you're popular, someone start doing some contemporary, or maybe it's just not in my feed.
True.
Uh, so we can see this.
I don't have a TikTok, so I stay out of that.
You're smart.
I still haven't made a TikTok account.
You're smart.
But yeah,
TikTok
I
to me
know.
is like when Dance Dance Revolution came out and I would play it and I would put my foot places and then it would tell me I was a bad dancer and I would be like, "You don't know a dancer. I'm on tour right now." Like I'd get so frustrated. And then I feel like TikTok's the same thing where
I
I can't do half
sucked at
those
that
things,
game
so
too.
that's why I'm not. If I could do it, I'd probably love it.
Right.
When
Yeah,
did
I
you get your?
sucked at that game also.
Oh yeah, that
By
foot,
the way,
foot. The
Dance Dance
timing
I
was
was
never
like
right.
I had no rhythm or something. I don't know why, but yeah.
It's not, you had rhythm, the game didn't, because it was not on the beat, it was like a hair off, and it would drive me insane. Yeah, so you had rhythm, the video game did not. When did you start when was your first professional gig, like, whatever that was to you?
So I don't want to say like I pursued professionally like this whole time, but my first professional job was when I was 9 years old.
Oh, as soon as you were like, "I'll take a ballet
So
class," I love it.
pretty much. My timeline might be a little bit off by a year. I don't know. Like, I might have done it when I was started ballet when I was 8.5. I don't know.
You're fine.
But so at the time, because this is back in the 90s when internet was still dial up,
Mhm.
if people know what that means, the kids watching especially. Um, there was no, I mean, there was agencies, of course, but it was like we don't get emails, none of that. So at the time, my studio Irvine Dance Academy got a phone call saying they're looking for boys that dance. And my studio reached out to me and said, "Hey, there's an audition." It was at the Millennium at the Dome, and said, "There's an audition for this music video," and it was for Fiona Apple.
Oh, awesome.
Uh-huh. And she was big during that time, that's where that was like her prime. Um, and said, "There's an audition. Do you want to go?" And I was like, my mom was like, "I don't know what this is." I mean, I'm the first kid that danced ever. And I was like, "Of course, I want to go. I want to go." So I went. The choreographer is Michael Rooney.
Okay.
And, it's, I think, not his first job, but it was like towards the beginning of his career still,
Uh-huh. Right.
Um, and I auditioned and I ended up booking the job. And I was like, "This is awesome."
That's so
I
cool.
didn't know what it was. And I was like, "This is awesome."
Was it a music
Yeah.
video or a stage performance?
It was a music video
Would you have
for
to
her
look
song
like?
Paper Bag. We were actually dancing. We were in a train station. I remember it was at Union Station, downtown LA, for 2 weeks. We were there from like 5 in the morning till like, I don't know, like 6 at night or something like that. Um, and we were actually dancing. Like, I still remember the choreography. It's crazy. And it's not because I like try to remember it. It's just been ingrained in my brain because we rehearsed it so much. But we did like a Saute Attitude, we do a Batma, we do a Grapevine. It was like we were dancing. We were actually dancing.
I love
And we were all 10, 9, 11 years old, but we were dancing. We had barrel jumps going across,
Oh, that's so cool.
you
And
know.
did you go back to school and like flex? Were you like, yeah, last weekend? Or were you like not telling anybody?
I don't think I told any I don't remember, but I don't think I told anyone. It was just kind of like, or most kids were like, "Where were you for 2 weeks?" I was like, "Oh, I was dancing."
That's cool.
But, yeah, and the cast was awesome, like, Tyler Peck was in the movie not the movie, the music video.
Mhm.
Um, some of my friends that are still my friends, John Bond, who's dancing with Netherlands Dance Theater right now, like, these people were all in this music video, and, I mean, obviously, we didn't know what we are gonna be doing in the future, but it's so cool to see all these people dancing still
Yeah,
on
that's
the first
amazing.
job that I did.
Um, so
Yeah.
okay, so that did you book that before you decided you wanted to be a dancer, or did you want to be a dancer before that?
Before I knew I wanted to be a dancer. Um, I mean, I didn't know what kind of dancer at the time, obviously, but I knew I wanted to dance. And so after that job, I went to audition for KSA, the agency, open call, and I got signed. And so that's when I started my agency stuff. But I don't think I was just say I was pursuing my career because I was still full time in school, obviously, as a kid. I really couldn't go to auditions much.
Mhm.
So I did some cool jobs here and there as a kid, but I wasn't like living in LA pursuing it like some of the kids do now.
Well, I also think homeschool is such a bigger
You
thing now too, right? Like our generation, and I'm a little older, wasn't like we didn't have homeschool as an option really. And now you totally do. Like in
No,
Canada, my niece, she's like a ballerina and she loves ballet. She gets out of school at like noon or 12:30 because in Vancouver, which is where she lives, they treat dance as a sport. And any sport, if you think you're going to become it for a living, you get out of school early after you do your basic classes, and then your rest of your classes are at the dance studio around dance, which I think is a reason
that's
why so many
amazing.
people are amazing at it out there. It's because they're allowed to. You know what I mean? Like,
I wish we had that support here in the States,
yeah.
like from the school system and all that. I mean, I went to college, but like not every dancer to become professional has to go to college. Not, like if they choose, great, like I did. But like it's great that they have that option.
Yeah, I was like, when my sister told me about it, I was like, "What? That's like,
That's awesome.
first of all, even if they choose to dance till 8 or 9 p.m., right? Which is typical of a kid in a dance studio trying to become a dancer. Then they're getting an extra 3 hours, let's say, right? Or they could still be dancing 6 hours a day and get a decent night's sleep before they have to go to school and do their homework and all that other fabulous stuff. It just makes more sense.
Right. It does.
Yeah. Okay, so you teach at the Edge, but you teach ballet, right?
Mhm.
When did it switch for
I
you? Or
do.
do you still teach other styles of classes elsewhere, or
So, okay, so tap, tap, tap was like my love
not much
forever,
change? Yeah.
forever, ever, ever. And it still is. It still is. And I wish I can tap more often because I do miss it. I actually got to tap this weekend, and it has been like 2 years since I put my tap shoes on, really, to be honest. But I loved it. So it's gonna always be my first love, I think. Ballet, I think I had a great first teacher, and it helped that I had a male ballet teacher because that's when I went, oh, guys can do ballet. Because
Mhm.
at the time we weren't exposed to social media, or we weren't exposed to YouTube. YouTube wasn't a thing then yet. So it's like it was hard unless you go to library and rent like VHS tapes, you know, you weren't able to really see these male dancers like ballet on stage. So having a male teacher helped. Um, and he was very patient with me. Like, you can wear basketball shorts for, few months. And then I wanted to wear biker shorts because it was tighter fitting. And then eventually I was like, I'm gonna wear black tights. And it slowly got to like it was never pushed to do it.
Mhm.
I decided that I wanted to do those things. And so I think that helped a lot. And so on top of going to my competition studio and on top of going to my junior high school art school, I also went to ballet conservatory on top of that.
Oh, dude, you were dancing.
I was dancing, I think 30 hours a week,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah, I took 13 hours of ballet a week because I loved it that much. So I think that's when my switch happened. I mean, if you ask some people that knew me when I was a kid, they think I'm still a tapper. And then if you ask people that like edge people and like people that know me from LA, they see me as a ballet person.
Mhm.
So I just know that that's my market here in LA, that I'm like known more as a ballet technical person. So that's kind of what I decided to do at the edges. And I came out of a ballet company before I moved to LA. So I was in the ballet world. So that made me go, okay, I'm going to teach ballet. But I do teach other styles at local studios, like dance studios for kids.
Oh, very cool. Very,
I
very
teach,
cool.
yeah, I teach like jazz, I teach progressions. I do teach, I used to teach tap. I haven't the last few years, but I taught tap. So yeah, I still do other styles teaching wise.
And how would you describe? I have never taken your ballet class because you would be like, "What are you doing in here?" My plie would be so busted. Grand plie, I'd probably have to like hold the floor to get back up, like an old lady. How many you teach? How many levels? You teach like beginner ballet, or do you only teach at intermediate advanced?
I okay, so at Edge, I think I had intermediate ballet and beginning ballet because Edge doesn't have advanced ballet listed ever
Okay.
in their schedule. So people that knew me, like my regular people, knew intermediate was more intermediate advanced
Hmm.
because my beginning wasn't really big. Because, okay, it's a little bit hard to describe because they also have something called basic ballet, which is where they work on like this is first position, this is second position. So by the time you're in beginning, they should have somewhat of a knowledge. So there was sometimes like misinformation of people showing up thinking that I was going to explain what a tendu was, like what it is. And then here I am just going like three tendus front, rise up, like so those people sometimes didn't come back. but people that knew a lot of my beginning ballet people were jazz dancers that were just wanting to take ballet and didn't have to feel like they had to like be an ABT all of a sudden.
Hmm.
So So I call my beginning more like beginning 2, which means like advanced beginners, intermediate, and then my intermediate was like intermediate advanced.
Wow. Very, very cool. Yeah, because it's such a ballet is one of I'd say probably is the hardest style of dance to do. Like physically on your body, it's like you will hurt the next day. Or even like a floor bar, where you lay down, you think it's gonna be easy because you're laying on your back, and then all of a sudden your abs are like, wait, what just happened? And your inner thighs are crying. Like if there's literally
Right.
tears that can come out of thighs. Yeah. It's just a great workout for anybody.
But I'm gonna say I think for me, ballet's been the easiest to teach because um I'm pretty good at reading the room, like in sense of like levels,
Hmm.
and I can adjust right on the spot what kind of level I should be doing. Or I can give a lot of options. Like for example, if it's passe to fourth pirouette, it's just a simple one. You just go passe, plie, balance. And then some people can do singles, doubles, triples. So it's just so easy to adjust to people, which I love about ballet. Where if you had a combo choreographed in a jazz routine, it's a little bit hard to adjust for every single person when you're teaching a dance,
For
you
sure.
know?
Also, I feel like ballet
So,
has more specific words and similar to tap, where they have like, yes, tap's vocabulary changes, but so does ballet based on what, country you're talking about. Um,
right,
but in general, it's the same. Whereas like hip hop and jazz and contemporary and lyrical have gotten in this weird, like, there's no line to the end. Everything is blending in together right now. So I
true,
can
true.
totally see how like sometimes there is like a safety net as a teacher in knowing this is what this is. Is there like in tap dancing, there's new tricks every so many years where like you're like, oh, well, what is this new step? And then it's a shiggity bop or an A rod, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, they never the words never make sense. In tap, but in ballet, are there still like new tricks?
I don't think it's more new trick. I think it's like they're advancing in sense of like a tour, for example.
Mhm.
You know, some people are starting to do triple tours instead of double tours.
Mhm.
So like people like add stuff to the existing step rather than like creating new
So is
steps, I
there like
guess.
a double tour jeté in ever? Because that would be
Oh, I don't know
insane.
about that.
That would be
Well,
crazy.
I've seen a person, you know how towards day you start from this, if you start over here, you do kick over there and you land over here.
Mhm.
I've seen one go like a full circle and you land to the other side. It's almost like a helicopter,
That's
you
cool.
know? So I mean, I've seen stuff, but no, not that advanced yet. But I've seen people like do 1.5 turn almost, you know.
Anyone listening? No, don't do it. Don't say yourself. It seems like it, like, because I think gymnastics is very heavily into dance more than it used to be, and so like and I also think even like there's a lot of people who do martial arts with dance now, and so like there's a lot more strength behind dance than just flexibility, which is I think partially why people are able to do some crazy tricks that never existed before.
Right, for sure.
Um,
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I don't do any acro. So that's one thing I wish I had would have done, and I still can. But as a kid, I think you're less scared of things because you're not as aware about your body. So just kind of go for it, and you're like, "Oh, I fell. Let's try again." And now I'm just like an aerial. I don't get to touch the floor. It's like So that's one thing I wish I would have done is more acro stuff.
Me too. I didn't start till I was 20. I tried back handspring and whomped on my head immediately and was like, let's do this again.
But
uh,
good for you. That's awesome.
I mean, I didn't do it that long. I went in for 3 tricks. I got 3 tricks and I walked out. I wanted an aerial, a standing tuck, and a back handspring. And a back handspring was the hardest for me because I have no muscles in my
Really?
arms. Yeah, but I was a tap dancer, so my legs were
Okay.
like they got it, but not that other stuff. Um, when so late let's say like after college, right? That's when you really started auditioning for stuff?
Well, okay, so I was still in Orange County, but I auditioned for the movie Fame, the remake.
Mhm.
When I was 17, I went to a cattle call, open call, and it was with Marguerite Derricks. And I went and there was about like what 900 people showing up, 800 people showing up, which is massive.
Yeah, for those listening,
And
cattle call means there's no, so there's unions to certain shows. A cattle call is open to everybody because there are certain shows that have to open it up to everybody who doesn't have an agent to anything. So literally people line up around the block to audition. And in those situations, there's still another audition for union people with agents. These are just the people who just showed up way too early, cold, standing outside, and are ready to just jump in and rip their muscles immediately as soon as they get to the door. Um, yeah, that's a cattle call in case people are wondering.
yeah, so um you know, there was like 900 of us showing up, and I was like, and there was Marguerite Derricks, and I didn't know her personally, like, but everybody knows her name and what she's done, and I was like, oh my god, this is my first audition with her. So I showed up, I learned the combination, I make it through, and they cut down to 30 of us, and then they were like, you're all hired. So I booked my first movie when I was 17.
Amazing,
I love that.
amazing.
Um, and it's something I still think it's a dream, you know. I'm just like, did that really happen? Um, so I did that, and I was already in college. So to backtrack, I graduated high school when I was 16 years old.
What? You're amazing.
Um,
Why?
no,
You're so
I
smart?
got lucky. I skipped a grade. I skipped 6th grade, so I went from fifth to seventh. And then I had that weird birthday cutoff thing where you're an early or a late. And I went early, so it seems like I skipped 2 years, but it's only 1 year. Um,
Still
so I
amazing.
was 16 when I went to college. So it was my third year of college when I auditioned for Fame already.
Oh my
I
god.
was 17 turning 18. Yeah.
I just, like, can't imagine being in college, like, in college at 16, like, you're just getting your driver's license and everyone else is going to party. Like, it's so
Yeah,
different.
true. Well, here's what's embarrassing. I had to get a parent's signature to perform at my college because I was a minor.
I love that. That's so
Everybody's
fun.
like signing, and I was like, I gotta take it home.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I started auditioning during college a little bit. So I got Fame. So obviously I did that job.
Your college
And
allowed you to audition for stuff too, right? Because there are some colleges that don't let kids audition for things outside. And I think that as a dancer, you need to decide if you want to go to that college. You know what I mean? Like there's certain schools that do it for a purpose and it's to tear you down to bring you to where exactly they want you. And then there are like,
right.
what kind of dancer do you want to be? If you want to be a commercial dancer in film and television, uh, you want to go to a college, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that allows you to audition for those things. Because if your goal is to get a job and you get a job, well, then why are you like,
Right. Right.
what? It's just different.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think my college really like fully supported the commercial because most colleges are concert based.
Mhm.
Like they do more ballet and modern than jazz and theatrical dancing. But, you know, I never really skipped any classes to do stuff. I just was able to find a way. So I think they were like, if you're not really like compromising the schoolwork, you know, why would complain about it? So they were very supportive in that sense. So I did that, and then that same month I auditioned for Fame, I auditioned for Cirque du Soleil. Um, and I was asked by a talent scout because I used to compete for YAGP.
Mhm.
I think some kids would know what that is. It's a ballet
Grand Prix,
competition.
right?
Yeah. So I was in New York for finals, and I never won anything at finals. I did well at regionals, but not finals. But one day I got an email from YGP saying, "Hey, a talent scout from Cirque was at our finals and they laid an eye on you. So they want to put you in their database." And I was like, "Okay, great." So I like submitted my stuff and
This is something
I
that's
got
so important for kids to hear because there are kids who compete out there currently. And especially if you're 16 and over and someone asks your name, give them your last name, right? Because it's important that they can look you up and then not in a creepy way, but like there is like people, especially in Los Angeles, like the competitions that are out here or even convention competitions, because those convention teachers are always looking to hire. Like it's not, they'll remember your face and your name. And then if you fit the profile at some point in time, they will try to get you because they want the best out of their company as well. So please, please, please give your first and last name if your parents are okay with it, obviously, so that people can
right.
find you to hire you. If you're 16 or if you're under 16, don't do it. Do not do it. No, 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 no.
No. No, 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 no. And, I think going into the convention thing, I think it's also important for as a student to introduce yourself at the end of class and be like, "Thank you so much for class." Because
Mhm.
sometimes that's what will do it, Like, that's when you're like, "Oh, I remember that face," and then now they're starting to look around the room and try to find you. So, I think that's very important too,
That's
to
good.
not to just, like, be like, "Class is over," walk away, you gotta go say thank you to the teachers, I
What do
think.
you, and then in that same response, read the room at the same time. If that person's rushing, that teacher is rushing to get out the door because they have to be somewhere like a plane, maybe not the best time. Or if there's a
Right.
pile of 30 people who want to take a photo. So a lot of these teachers are famous, like especially to dancers, and these kids want photos with them, right? Wait your opportunity where you see them in the hallway or something where you can actually have a conversation with them if you think that it's somebody you jive with to book a job out of. And be real with yourself too. Like you can look around the room. If you can't do what they're asking you to do in that class, you can still introduce yourself to that person, but they're not looking to hire you necessarily yet. Uh, Keep taking classes. Anyone can make it. I really do think that it's not always the most talented
Mm,
people, but be honest with yourself too. Don't just think that you're an amazing dancer when you see somebody who can do something you can't do. Think about it because that person will also go up to them. My whole rule of dance is always
absolutely.
well, this is my rule to life. Somewhere someone is practicing, and when you meet them, they will beat you. And I think that that's like every sport and talent like out there. Like there is always someone who's working on what you're working on. So you can keep working no matter what, no matter how amazing you are. Okay, but back to your story. We got
And working harder than you sometimes. That we think we're working the hardest, but you're like, "Oh, there's someone else working harder than me." So, it's always like a,
Mhm.
catch-up game, like, you just have to keep working.
Yeah.
But, so I got a call from Cirque, and nothing happened from May till September, so I was like, "Okay, whatever." But then I get a call saying Vincent Patterson was gonna be creating a show called Viva Elvis, which was an Elvis Presley show. Um, and, the talent scout was like, "I really think he's gonna love you." And so he's like, "I wanna submit you to him." And this guy, that found me, and I was like, I've never met him. I was like, wow, he's so passionate about me. And I was like, that's so awesome. So I show up, he was there, the talent scout. So he like pulled me aside, introduced me to Vincent Patterson, and said, "This is someone I believe that you're gonna love. Go audition." Right. And I was like, thank you so much, because
Mhm.
no one really does that for you. But the process of the audition, okay, so we had to do ballet across the floor, they
Crushed
cut.
it. You're like, got it.
Then we had to do like a contemporary like combination. Like they put us in like a situation like you're in a box. You're trying to get out. Like, and it's a
Was
lot of
it the
interpretation kind
improv?
of thing.
Because I will say improv at auditions, people never realize they're usually like the first audition I had, they said dance like liquid, and I remember being like, "What?" Like, and so to me, are you saying they legit in the improv were like dance like you're in a box?
Well, no, so they had a full combo also.
Okay.
So this routine ended up being like a 2.5 minute routine. So we like learned a whole dance pretty much.
Wow.
Like it was improv for a whole minute, and then we started doing the combo. It was a minute and a half long. So we're like, okay, we're dancing. And then they made a cut. And then because of the show, the nature of the show, they wanted us to jive, like partner, jive dancing. So they would partner us up. We've never partnered with these people. And we had to learn a jive routine, and they made a cut. And I made it all the way through. And so after that, they said, okay, now improv, a style we haven't seen yet. So I tapped.
Yes.
Okay. And so I got my tap in there. And then after that, they said, okay, now you're going to do some clowning exercises because it's Cirque du Soleil. So
Yeah.
you're going to be a clown now. So we had to like do this miming stuff, and we had to like be like jokesters and funny things. And then they taped us the whole time. And then, they were like, okay, now tell us about yourself. And then it started with about 110 people. There was only about, I think, 10 of us left at this time. And so they taped us. And then that was over. I had heard nothing from them
And let's
from
talk about that
September.
interview part because, again, dancers don't realize. So there are some brilliant dancers out there who are so nervous to talk to other people because they've just been doing a sport for so long. Um, you need to be able to have a good story when they say, "Tell me a little bit about yourself." And it doesn't mean I dance 18 hours a day and that's all I do. Like, be honest. I love watching Macaulay Culkin movie or whatever it is. It's not that. That's the first thing that came to my head. Um, you need to have a decent story because these people are testing to see one, if they want to spend however, if it's a tour, if they want to travel with you, and if it's a show that is going to be taped for a month or a movie, like the, basically they're testing to see if they want to hang out with you as well. So you have to be a good dancer and a nice person to be around.
A good human being, right? Yeah, they're trying to like figure out what you are as a person because they already like you as a dancer, clearly, and they believe that you're capable of doing the show. Now it's just, do we want to deal with you? You know,
Right.
so but I'm gonna say one thing, and I can't believe I said this. They said, "So, which show do you like of our Cirque du Soleil?" And I said, "I've never seen your show."
And
And I said, and I was being very honest. I was like, "I've never seen your show before. I don't really know what you're all about." And they were like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." But I was like, "Now I'll be watching one show for sure," you know? But I think that made them be like, "Oh, he's just a real human being. Like, he's not trying to, like, fake it." Because I could have come up with, like, a, uh, fake story and be like, "Oh, I just love this show because 'cause I've heard of Miss Thayer before," but, like, I didn't really know, and they were just, like, really surprised. But long story short, I didn't hear from them from September till January of that following year. So I was like, I didn't get it. Oh well, whatever. And after my ballet class in college, I had a voicemail saying, "This is Cirque du Soleil. Where we'd like to hire you." And I was like, I forgot about it. I was like, wait, what did I do? What show did I audition for? And then they were just like, oh, Viva Elvis. We didn't know the name at the time. So this Elvis show, we would like to hire you. We wanted to do costume fitting in March in Montreal, and then you would be flying here June 1st to be here for 10 weeks and train with us. And I'm just like, okay, all right, because it's a 2.5 year contract that they offered.
dang, that's the job.
That's a long contract. That's a
That's
long,
the
and
job.
I was 19 at the time. You know, still in college. I had 1 year left, so I was like, so here's me going, "Mom, I don't know if I'm gonna take it," because I wanted to finish college.
Fair.
And
Like,
then here's my mom. Yeah, I was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna ever come back to college if I leave." So I was like, "I wanna get it done, whatever. I'm so close." And my mom goes, "Are you dumb? You just got you just got hired
I like your
at a
mom.
company that is world known. Not It's not like, it's like a new company that someone tried to start out. It's like a big company, major company. And she was like, "You're going to college, like you said, you're going to college for this reason."
For this thing, and then you get this thing, and you're like, no, I should finish college first, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. But you know how most people go, my parents don't understand and they're not as support. My parents were the opposite. They're like, "What are you thinking? You need to take
love
this
it.
job." So, and they were just like, "College will always be there. So
Yeah,
don't
a
worry about
doctor. You can go back and be a doctor still.
it." That's true. That's true. So I went, and I did 2.5 years of my contract.
And what is
So
Cirque du Soleil's dancers do? Like, because when I imagine Cirque, I imagine all those people hanging aerials and like, do you have to learn all of that stuff as a dancer, or is there just a regular dancer set as well?
So this is why I kind of said this in the beginning of the podcast that I don't do any acro because I don't do any acro, and I still got hired for Cirque. And so that's the other thing. I never thought I'd work for a circus because in my mind, like you said, I have to do aerial, silk, or you know, gymnastics or something. And I think Cirque was moving towards a newer direction at the time because this is what 12 years ago now. The Beatles' Love Show was like the one of the bigger dance shows at the time that Cirque created, but Elvis became even bigger of a dance show. They had another show called Banana Peel, which is a tap vaudeville kind of show that Cirque wanted to present. So they were trying to create a lot of dance shows at the time. So when they hired us, they actually want legit dancers. And they offered to us, like, if you wanted to work on aerial work, they were like, we can train you, but they weren't forcing us to do any of that.
And you're
So,
like, no, I'm good.
yeah, although the only thing I'm gonna say that they made me put outside of my box was my time in Montreal. we were at their headquarters. We had to like learn how to like climb ropes with our arms because they wanted us to physically be strong.
Mhm.
So they would like do tests like that. We had to dance with fire fans because at one point of the show, they were going to have us dance with fans that had fires around.
Mhm.
So we had to learn how to dance with fire.
It's cool.
They had us do clowning classes just to get us out of our box and be personality, you know? Because as dancers, we know we have to be an actor. So in their shows too, they want us to act. So we had that kind of classes, but nothing like aerial or silk. So it was pretty stress free on my part.
That's
There were
good.
some tumblers. Yeah, there were some tumblers that can dance, and obviously, but they used them for that because they already had the knowledge. They didn't force us to learn new knowledge.
That's really cool. I know you said you've listened to the podcast, so you know that I have questions that I must ask. And these are the questions that I ask
That's true.
everybody. Everybody. Um, I need to know. I want to know. I don't need. If you don't want to answer, just tell me. Who's your favorite singer to move to right now?
I go old school, so I still love Michael Jackson and Prince.
Nice.
Those two. Yeah,
That's great.
those are
And
my
what
two
is
favorites.
your favorite music video of all time?
Oh, that's right. I was like trying to figure out what are these questions. Okay, for me, it's Escapade Janet Jackson.
Yes.
I mean, I love all music videos during that time because you know what? They were dancing.
Hmm.
People were dancing. Um, but I actually like watched that music video over and over and actually learned every step. Like as a kid, like I was like learning all the steps,
It's so
you
good.
know, and dance. So yeah, I gotta say Escapade.
You still know it.
I still know it. I was never in it, but I still know it.
That's awesome. That's amazing. What's your favorite food to eat after a big show?
I have a couple. Okay, so either a nice steak
Mm.
slash burger, like so I want some kind of protein, or sushi, which is like complete opposite side. But those are my like go-to.
That sounds delicious. What's the most difficult dance trick you ever had to learn in your life? Like, what was the hardest thing you remember learning?
So it's not necessarily a trick, I guess. So I'm gonna say during the Elvis show, we had to learn to legit do swing, like full on swing lifts, like girls tumbling over us like throwing and tossing and catching them. So that was nerve wracking. So I'm gonna say that it's not a specific trick.
A
It was
whole
more like
genre.
a whole genre you had to learn, and safety too for the other dancer, you know, because you're partnering. So it's not like it's only you, it's them.
But what an awesome
So
thing to learn
I'm
at
gonna
such a
say
young
that.
age because I mean, there's so much partnering now and everywhere. And it's really
So
hard to
much.
find a studio to teach you that at a young age because there's not a lot of uh same amount of people to play both roles. So it is a difficult thing to find under the age of 18. That's really, really cool. If you had to have another job outside of the dance entertainment business, what would it be?
This is hard. Okay, by all means, I have no talent in what I'm gonna say, but but I would probably want to be a chef.
Okay.
Like my dad was a chef, so um
What kind of food did he make?
so he started with he's from Japan. So when he was in Japan, he actually worked for Italian and French restaurant in a hotel.
Mhm.
So that was his thing. And then he came to the States and then he found out sushi was so popular. So he became a sushi chef here.
I love that.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. So he's done a lot of different, like he loves making pasta, all that kind of stuff, like desserts, like crepes and all that kind of stuff. But he also made sushi and like traditional Japanese food. So um, I enjoy standing in the kitchen. I don't ever really do it, but I the times I do, like the 5 times I do in a year, I do enjoy doing it. So
So mom and
I
dad, you're
think I
never
would
gonna
like
be a
look into
doctor.
that.
Doctor's out. Chef maybe, but
Sorry, sorry, that's
I think
gone.
you're okay with that. I really, obviously, but uh, I was like, oh, is he gonna say doctor? What kind of doctor?
Oh
No,
no,
nope, no dancing doctors yet, everybody. I
not yet.
um, so if you had advice for somebody who wanted to become a dancer professionally, what would you recommend they do? Let's say they're 14, right? They're in high school and they're realizing that this is what they want to do.
Well, my biggest thing would be just be open to everything, meaning not job opportunities. I'm saying like styles of dance. I think the more you know and the more you're able to do, the more jobs are available for you. So rather than being a one trick pony, you can have a favorite style. Like everyone has their preference, I think. But if you are a contemporary dancer, I'm going to say you need to be able to do jazz. You need to be able to do hip hop. If you can do tap, great. You should be able to do ballet. You don't have to be a ABT New York City ballet dancer, but you should be able to hit a nice arabesque line. Like so. I'm gonna
And
say
even
like
the
to
other way around, though, right? Like if you're an amazing ballerina, don't just
you gotta learn how
not
to
do a hip hop
groove.
class. Like, you know, you can take a hip hop class.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen ballet dancers that do jazz and hip hop outside of the company world, and they know how to like use their upper body more, and like the groove is there, and you can tell. But their technique is flawless because they're ballet dancers, obviously. So when they're young, I'm gonna just say train, train, train. That's what I would do because the more you train now, the easier it's gonna be for you later on.
Yeah. And you have such a great style of dance. Like when you take jazz, when I see your jazz classes, like uh you love like you can see your acting in it, which is amazing. Your Insta shame. Instagram is not Insta I call it Insta shame all the time. And I gotta stop calling it that. That's not
That's okay.
it's Instagram. Um what is your Instagram while we're talking about it?
What is what?
What is your Instagram while we're just talking about it for those who want to look you up?
Oh, like what is it?
Mhm.
It's just my name at Bobby Bobby hyphen Amamizu Amamizu.
And I'll
That's
put
it.
this
Just
in
my
the
name.
link as well for everybody. That's so cool. So you now, so we had this pandemic in California, and things are starting to open up again. Are you teaching yet, like at any studios or anything like that?
So I've always kept teaching over Zoom for my kid studios because they were still going as much as they can. Um, Obviously, Edge unfortunately had to shut down, and they found a new building, but we don't know what's happening.
Mhm.
So I actually also teach for a college right now, Pace University
Oh, cool.
in New York. Yeah, so they have like their third year kids come to LA for a semester to study with people here. So we've been doing that at the Performing Arts Center in Van Nuys. There's a studio called Performing Arts Center.
How long have
It's
you
been
been
there for a
teaching for
long
free?
time. This is my second year.
Oh, we might know some people. That's
Oh yeah,
exciting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a girl,
yeah.
Amanda, who I think she just graduated. I don't want to say her last name
Okay,
over the thing.
right, right.
I know she was from New York and she was in the dance program for Pace and then came out here and stayed out here uh,
Okay,
as a dancer. Um,
got it.
but that's such a wonderful program for kids to go through to like become successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I teach there at Performing Arts Center for the Pace kids. So they're also actually like an open class studio. So Joe Malone is the guy that owns the space. He actually just asked me if I would teach for him. So we're in the talks of starting a ballet class Wednesdays, possibly next week.
Oh, awesome.
And it's been a yeah, and it's been a year and like almost a year for me to teach an open ballet class for the community. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully people can come and all that. But yeah, it might start up very soon,
That's very, very
and I'll
cool.
post that on my Insta shame. I'll post it on my Insta shame once we
I,
start for sure.
put it all out there. So you're a phenomenal dancer. You've danced professionally, but something that I've noticed is you still take classes. You still post videos of you taking other people's classes. How important do you think that is, like as a professional dancer, that you still learn from other people?
I think if once you feel like you've like done it all, whatever that means to you,
Mhm.
there's no drive anymore. And so that's when I feel like, okay, maybe it's time to like hang your shoes. Um, I just want to keep learning, and I think by learning from other people, even as not even as a dancer, but as like an assistant choreographer or as a teacher, you get inspired, you get educated, and I don't know. I just don't think there's nothing but benefits coming out of that. And the people I do work for, like Marguerite Garrix and Michael Rooney, which is the two choreographers I, get to work with, they constantly say, "Oh, I hire people because I'd rather hire people and reward them for training rather than getting comfortable because they're already established and not ever take class."
Well, also taking other
So
people's classes, I think it happens more often than people realize. Like there's like if you're at a convention, for example, a lot of those teachers will take other classes while they're there just because, yeah, everybody's friends, but also everyone respects everyone's talents and everyone is usually teaching what they're a master at. And so they know that the other person might be better in a different genre or a different style of music specifically. Like they could both be jazz teachers, but one likes this kind of music and one likes another kind of music. And just doing that, I also think as a dance teacher out there, it's so great to watch other dance teachers because everyone has a different teaching style and you can learn something small that you were like, oh, I never even thought about introducing that this way or communicating it that way. And I think that it's
I
nothing but beneficial for everybody. And that even goes for like non professional dancers who just own studios who want to just be the best teacher they can be. Continue to watch other teachers teach because you could also watch somebody be like, oh, that sounds like terrifying. I would never do that. You can learn no matter what. Like, you know what I mean? And it
yeah,
could just be a fun class. When you take conventions, do you tend to be in the front or the back?
when I take conventions,
Yeah, or classes in general.
I
Not
used
necessarily
to.
convention.
So for, I guess for conventions, I'll answer both. I guess for class, I try to be in the front, but on the like edge, so I can still see. And then I wait for the groups to come like dead center.
Mhm.
Conventions, I always went the back corner until we do groups because there's so much space in the back. Everybody's like so crowded to the front, and we're all like this, and like, and then there's like the half of the ballroom open for you. I'm like, I'm gonna dance full out back here. So that's what I did growing up. I was always in the back, and when the groups came, I would come center.
That's really, really cool. And then if I was a
Yeah,
ballet teacher, what's something you would say to make sure that you're maintain like something that you just are really passionate about and hope that other teachers are doing that you do, or some piece of advice for a ballet teacher?
I think, and I think it's more for all styles, but I try to teach the history of the dance form. So there's always how it got to where it is, rather than this is the step. Um,
Can
so
you
I
give
think
us
that
an
can be related to
example of something?
like even like some porter bra arms and stuff, like the classical lines and then the romantic ballets, how some things might be different shapes. And then there's like neoclassical ballet now that's more Forsythe, which like it's like I call it over exaggerated lines and Balanchine stuff where it's like not classical, but it's like shown a little more expanded, I guess, and contorted like with the shapes. So they understand why and how it got there rather than this is the line you're gonna hit,
Mhm.
not this was classical, this is Balanchine, now Forsythe. And so they can see the evolution of each movement
Oh,
and they can
cool.
appreciate that, rather than Bobby told me to do this arm or Bobby told me to cross my leg more. I tell them how each positions are what style and what kind of choreographer came up with that style and new technique, I guess. Like the Vaganova technique versus Balanchine technique versus Cicchetti versus um, I guess Forsythe is the next one that kind of came up with the more neoclassical ballet form.
Mhm. And
So
you
that's
can
what I
use
try to tell the
you can
kids.
Google all of this as a teacher too. Like if you didn't get to go to a college for that style of dance, everything is online. Obviously, we all know that now. So you can do your research. It is work. But
It is
like
work.
if you want, to educate properly, make sure that you're educated properly as well. Very cool. If you could have any dream dance job, Like if someone's listening out there and they're like, oh, okay, I need to know, because this is a big also thing that I think people don't realize, that no one knows what you want to do. Like you can say I want to be a dancer, but there's so many specifics to it. Like and I was going to say something and then I realized it doesn't make sense. So like if you know what you want to do, you have to communicate it with people or they'll never be able to just guess. And so maybe someone out there in the world is listening and they're like, what's Bobby's dream job? I'm going to get Bobby his dream job. What would be your dream job?
Oh, I haven't thought of that in a long time.
I mean, and it could change tomorrow.
It can change tomorrow. You know, I think for me, I love, I, okay, I don't want to say anything wrong. I love musical films,
Mhm.
so I would love to do more of that. But there's certain films that I'm like, I don't know if you should touch that. So it's hard to say. Because the original is so great. You're like, oh, I don't know if you
Oh,
should.
so there's like
But
one in mind that you're thinking, oh, if they did a remake of this, I would want to be in it.
yeah, maybe. But at the same time, like, I don't know if you should do that.
Okay, but
I
what
don't
is the
know.
movie, just in case? Because first of all, you can't leave us all hanging. One, and then two, I'll tell you if it should be made again or not. I'll be like, no, it was great. I'm kidding.
Well, no. It's already been that one's already been made,
Oh,
so I can't do that. But okay, so maybe Newsies is
okay.
something I would want to do as a new one. But like last year or a couple of years ago, I guess now it would have been West Side Story.
Mm.
Like that's been made, um, but Newsies would be like something like that. Like that's very dance heavy and it's exciting and it was done so well. There's like, okay, I would love to, there's always the jobs that I wish I was born then
Hmm.
to be a part of it.
Hello,
So
Shirley
now I'm like, okay,
Temple.
can you do a remake?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wanted
can you
Shirley
do a
Temple's life.
remake? But did you?
All of those dancers were so good. Like those guys who would dance with her, it was like, up and down stairs. That's great.
I can totally see that. You doing Shirley Temple. I
Just
can see
going up
that.
and down in stairs. I wanted to be her so bad as a kid. It's all right. I'll survive.
I mean, I wanted to be in all those 90s music videos. Oh my gosh. Paula Abdul's, Janet Jackson's, Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna. I was like, oh, I was born in the wrong era. I want to be with all them.
Yeah,
But it
the industry's changed so much from what it was. And I do see like a nostalgia for the 90s music video, that if anyone is listening, please make a 90s music video again. Your music can be new, but the video, let's get old. We need those. We need
I
those.
mean, we were dancing. They were dancing. And I just miss being able to feature that talent on a music video.
Yeah, it should be something you could see in a crane shot, not just in a close up with a booty shake. Like it should be, I should be able to
Yeah.
zoom out and be like, whoa, look at the pattern of the whole town. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Every casting director out there,
Yeah.
you heard that. Get him. Get him. You're such a
Get it.
phenomenal dancer. So phenomenal. So if people are interested in taking your class, it seems like possibly a Wednesday out in Los Angeles. It will be in person, not via Zoom or
It might become a hybrid class. I'm still kind of looking at that. So definitely in person. Definitely. That's what they're going for. But we may add the Zoom because I know there's few people that have reached out to me already because I got a feeler out last week
Mhm.
saying, oh, I would do it if it's Zoom. So I might incorporate that as well.
Oh, great. And so
Yeah.
then anyone anywhere on, that's the other thing is like what's so amazing about, as much as this lockdown really adjusted people in a different way and it was, tragic for so many people, it
Mhm.
opened up a door for people to take dance classes from people they never would have had an opportunity for from wherever they are. Time zone, it doesn't matter. Like you can just jump on, which is super cool, I think. And I think it was like an opportunity for people to grow as dancers that I don't know if it would have been as accessible because there were so many people out of work that they had to teach classes. And so you could have learned from like these amazing, crazy people that you never have had a class if they weren't on lockdown or just
For
had the time.
sure.
It also isn't even the money for half of them. It's like, just the time.
I think there were so many working choreographers that were teaching Zoom classes that haven't taught for like years. And that was like your chance to get in and you know, and I mean Marguerite Derricks was teaching so much
Mhm.
during the pandemic, and actually, I think there was, like, a great handful of dancers that now she actually hired because of the Zoom class for Marvelous Miss Maisel, which is, like, amazing. So, I think the smart dancers, they kept on training, even on Zoom, and they got a job out of it. So, that's, like, an applause for that, you know?
Hooray! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending your day with me, or day, an hour
Of
or
course.
two. So, yeah, you didn't
It's
spend all the
practically a
day.
day.
You're not done yet. That'd be so creepy. And again, if anyone wants to find your classes, they can just go to your Instagram, which will be in the link. Is there anything you'd like to say to the world before we sign off?
No, I just wanna say thank you for having me. It was so much fun, and it was so
Thank
great to see you, Kim.
you.
And yeah, just can't wait to dance with people.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great week. We will be back next Friday.